Hello, Mr. Paul's Pantry here. I'm Mr. Paul and welcome. If you're new, a very warm welcome. If you're a returning visitor, it's nice to see you here again. Now, today's recipe is a simple one. It's just 4 ingredients, but it's been requested by many people and it has taken me, unfortunately, quite a while to get round to it because I have a list this long of people's requests. And this was one of the very first requests that came in, but it's taken me all this time to get through the ones before it. So it's for something from the past, something you don't see very much these days, but something when you were growing up probably you saw a lot of. It's for the humble Swiss roll. 4 ingredients, easy to make and just as quick to eat. I'll see you in a minute with the ingredients. So here are the ingredients for the Swiss roll, and they're very few indeed. It's actually 4 ingredients, that's all. We've got eggs, flour, sugar and jam. That's it, nothing else. Now the quantities are underneath the video in the description. That's just underneath the video where it says show more. If you click on that, it will show you all the list of ingredients. Now I'm using ordinary granulated sugar. Doesn't make any difference white sugar, granulated or caster. I'm using plain flour. I'm not using any raising agent, and I'm using 4 medium-sized eggs. All right, so there we are. Let's get on with putting it together. Right, now when it comes to mixing all these ingredients together, you really do need either one of these, that's a handheld mixer, a stand mixer, or if you really want to do it by hand, a nice balloon whisk. But it's a lot of work, I can tell you. This is the easiest way to do it. It's a small amount, so I'm not using the stand mixer. All we're going to do is we're going to add the eggs and the sugar and mix them together. I'm just turning this off a second because it's making a lot of noise. This is going to take a while, and I'll show you and tell you exactly how long it's taken me once I get back to you. Okay? There we are. Now we should be able to just see the trail of that. Can you see, as I'm going around there, can you just see it doesn't disappear instantly? You can see the trail as it's dropping onto the rest of the batter there. That means it's ready. So now we're going to add the flour, and this is the crucial bit. It's very important you follow this very carefully. Okay, now we've got the flour here, and it's important that we're going to sieve this into the mixture. If you don't sieve it into it, you'll finish up with some lumps of dry flour in there, and they will come through in the finished product, and we don't want that. So we're going to sieve. I don't normally sieve flour because today with modern manufacturing methods it's normally quite good, but this is important that we do this with this particular cake. There we are, it's all through. And we're going to use a spatula for this, and we're going to what we call fold. Now when we're doing cake mixing, there's beating, there's whisking, and there's folding. And we're going to fold it, and we're going to go round the bowl like that, and then across the middle. Round the bowl and across the middle. Let me just lighten that up a little bit for you. I think that's better. So we're going to round the bowl and across the middle. Don't stir it too much. Don't whisk it, but make sure you're scraping the bowl right to the bottom so we're getting every bit of flour mixed into the egg and sugar. And what we don't want to do is to knock out the air that we've taken a lot of time and trouble putting in. Now, I did time the egg and the sugar when I was beating it for you. I said I'd tell you how long it would took. It took me exactly 3.5 minutes to get it to that stage. So it will be a little quicker if you use a stand mixer, and if you're mixing by hand with a balloon whisk, it'll take you a hell of a lot longer, I'm afraid. It's a very difficult thing to do, to get it right with a whisk, balloon whisk. Just go round and through the centre. That's the folding action, and turn the bowl as we go. It's coming smooth. There's one or two little bits on there. You can see little lumps on the spatula, and they won't take long to get mixed in. Now, when it comes to the tin is crucial with this, because the size of the tin determines the thickness of your sponge. And the thicker your sponge, the more likely it is to crack and the longer it will take to cook. So if you can get a tin the size I'm going to show you, then you've got chances. If it's too small, your tin, the cake will be too thick. There we are, that's nice and smooth now. I'll show you the tin. Now, the tin I'm using, I'll just get my measure and tell you what it is. For this particular amount of mixture, sorry about that, kick the camera. My tin here is 30 centimetres by 37 centimetres. So that's roughly, it doesn't have to be exactly that size, but that just gives you some idea. Now, the cake mixture is going to go into here. We're going to spread it gently to the edges. I've greased the tin, and then I've put some parchment on top, and I'm going to grease that as well so that we can release it. Now, I'm using a spray. You can use butter or anything you like. Okay, just grease it very lightly. A little oil on a brush, anything will do like that. Now, let's get the batter on. I love these silicone spatulas because it means you can get every last drop out of the bowl without wasting any. Now, here we are. Let's just gently spread this to the outsides. Now, you'll notice it's quite a big tin for this small amount of batter, but I want it as thin as I can so that A, it will roll up easy, and B, it will cook quickly. Now, depending on the size of your tin that you decide to use, will determine how long it takes to cook. Now, I'll time this when it goes in the oven. They can take anything from 4 minutes up to 8 or 9 minutes. So there we are. I'm just going to tap that on the table now, get rid of any air bubbles, and that's going to go in the oven at 230 degrees centigrade. And I will time it and tell you exactly how long it is when it's cooked. I'll set the timer, okay? Now, what I have here is a piece of greaseproof or parchment, and I've covered it with sugar, caster sugar or granulated sugar. It doesn't make a lot of difference. Here we are. That's it. It really has come out nicely. And what we're going to do with it, we're going to invert it on top of that. So I'm going to just tip it all over on top onto the sugar like that. And then I'm going to remove the tin, which is still very hot, by the way. I'm going to remove the tin and then take away the greaseproof that it was cooked on. Now, this needs removing very gently. Don't rip it off, just fold it back gently like I'm doing now. it gets stuck on the corners, be very careful with it. It's stuck on that corner there, just a minute. There we are. It's coming off gently. That's it. Nice soft sponge, you can see. It's nice soft sponge. Show you how it's looking. That's now got the sugar underneath it, and we're going to just leave that for about 4 or 5 minutes and then put the jam on. Right, don't be too heavy-handed with the jam. Just spread it nicely. You're spreading it while the cake is warm, so it should spread easily, but still be gentle with it because we don't want to break the sponge if we can help it. So there we are. I think that's pretty well covered now. And what we need to do next is we're going to roll from the short side. So I'm going to turn the whole caboodle round like that. You can still see that, and then with the back of a knife, not the sharp edge of a knife, with the back of it, I'm just going to make a little crease, sort of a little score down there, and that really is only to start the folding process, so we can fold that like that, and then we're going to roll it up with the aid of the paper like this. Gently, Bentley, as we used to say on the radio. In the paper, we don't have to touch the cake until we get this seam underneath it. So the seam is now underneath it, and I'm going to leave it like that, sitting there to cool. And I'll be back and show you what it's like when we've cooled it. Right, here we are. It's nice and cool. We're going to have a look inside and see what's happening with it. Here we are. Nice sponge. Nice and spongy, nice and moist with the jam. And I think that's a success. I'm going to try a little bit of that with a cup of tea, although it's very sweet for me with the diabetes. I will just have one bite, but with a cup of tea. Well, there it is. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, go underneath. Underneath the video you will see all the recipe, etc., where it says show more, but you'll also see a subscribe button. If you press that, your little bell will appear at the side, and if you click on that, YouTube will let you know every time I put up a new video. So it's Mr. Paul saying bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye!